a whole setup to do this thing, man. It's like a whole setup to do this thing. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna put it like in the middle, like that. I'm gonna wait. Wait a couple of minutes. My sleep pattern is all messed up right now. But hey, hello, RT08. Yeah, my sleep pattern is all screwed up. Let me hit the focus there a little bit. Of course, this is the radio that I'm not a fan of, but this focus is crazy. And this is the Malahite. Can't remember what version this is. I bought this a few years back. I'm going to turn it on.
Well, I can't even part of the church online. Well, you're part of the. If you're a follower of Christ, you're part of the only church.
Let me lower the volume. Wow, I think. So I got it hooked up to the MLA30.
Churches and towns are just different.
The antenna. Let me see what antenna is on.
You have to always go to one assembly.
High Z.
But it makes sense to do so. I mean, because then you.
I put 50 ohm, but it's not 50 ohm. It's high Z. Okay, so high Z. And that's pretty much it. I don't have to do anything else. And that's it. I know some people wanted me to use this for a while.
I will say there's many
towns that I visit that I wouldn't really. My gripe about this radio is if you don't have an MLA30, it's not sensitive. Even if I take this one outside with this antenna, the medium wave I can notice is not very sensitive. But I'll play around with it for a bit. I mean, people seem to really like this radio.
It can be good for you to have those relationships.
I'm not a big fan of this radio.
Online, watching a preacher online, listening to a preacher on the radio.
It does have a nice noise reduction. Probably the best noise reduction out of
church is not
pretty much all my radios. I give it credit for that.
Or listen to
best noise reduction
or watch one on
of.
But hearing
let me turn it off for a minute.
Church is about. I mean, that's part of it.
Let me turn it off. I've only got 2 people here right now, so I'll wait a couple of more minutes. And let's say the noise reduction is probably the best noise reduction from all my radios. I'm not saying a lot. So whatever noise reduction they're doing on this, a lot of companies need to replicate that because this noise reduction is fantastic. It's very good. The only problem I find with this radio is the sensitivity. It's not that sensitive when it comes to weaker signals. I'm going to do, AM band scan on it, and then maybe a couple of stations. That's it. Figured, yeah, it's a nice display. It is a nice display. It's an SDR, so this is a true SDR. Unlike the other radios that people call them SDR, they're not SDR. This is an SDR. Now the type of SDR in here, some people think it's a RTL SDR that's in here, the chip, the RTL SDR chip in here with the up converter or something built in with some kind of a what is the Arduino or Arduino, whatever it's called. But I think the chip itself is an SDR. It's an RTL, I believe, the earlier one. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But hey, let me show you a little bit about it real quick before I. Of course, you got your switch here. This one has a battery, and you see battery and So when you want to charge it, you gotta put that button into the charge mode. Okay. You can also just leave it. You can also just plug it in and let it run off for that. But the problem with that brings noise. Okay. And of course, you got your button here, your start button is your antenna port. Okay. And then you have your, of course, your jack. Hello, Chicopee Radio 2009. Good morning. You have your audio jack there. And over here, you have your USB for power or charging. Also, I have not done any firmware updates on it. I believe it's also for firmware updates. I have not done that. I have this radio for over 3 years. I barely use it. This is a multifunction button. And actually, this one is also multifunction too. It's primarily volume, this is tuning, but there's also multifunction buttons. And of course, there's also, and I want to put the other lighting on. Of course, there's also touch screen. This is a touch screen, which is nice. Now, there's a nice thing about this radio. It does have a touch screen. I do live stream anytime. Right now, I slept a few hours earlier. I had a nice sleep earlier today. After right now, I just can't sleep. Insomnia. So I figured, you know what? Let me add to the content. I'm uploading videos pretty much every day. Because I'm trying to get the YouTube algorithm to be generous with me. So far, it's been working. I noticed a bunch more subscribers, a lot more views. So that's, my son. Of course, my son has vacation this week, so he was just up, and I sent him to bed. He wanted to stay up all night. My wife is sleeping. She's off till the weekend. So my wife, yeah, exactly. You know what? My son had no school, so he's enjoying it. I'm also enjoying it too because I don't have to get up early and take him to school. So, all right, so let's turn it on. And press and hold it, and you'll see the screen.
No, I would probably suggest giving
Let me
people a therapy.
tune down to. Let me see if I can pick up anything below. Yeah, not happening. With my little weather band radio, I heard Radio Encyclopedia. The D109, I just heard it from Cuba. This one is not as sensitive, so that's the problem with this one. So most likely with this one, I'm going to pick up just a major medium wave stations. This is not a DXC machine, that's for sure. From what I've seen so far. And that's why this radio disappoints me. It's a beautiful looking radio, the display and all that. But I paid about $250 for this radio. And a radio like this can pick up Radio Encyclopedia. And this one can't. I got a problem with that. You understand? For $200+ I expect this radio to be a DXR radio. And it's not. So far, it's not.
30 seconds for the break. We have one break during the whole hour, and it's at the bottom of the hour. God, when he darkens your eyes, and blinds your eyes, and darkens your heart, and closes your ears, you're lost. God said, my spirit without always strive with man.
Do I hit the noise reduction?
Man, come to a place where God's spirit has found
Noise reduction.
And anything that was of any spiritual significance, they see it. They could not understand it. They could not hear it. Therefore, they knew not until destruction comes and destroy. So shall it be in this generation, Jesus said. I'll read from Luke. And when he was demanding of the Pharisees, when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation. You religious people that always want to see a sign, you don't know nothing about the kingdom of God. It don't come that way. Pharisees were religious people. They was low.
You see, that's breakthrough. You hear that? That's breakthrough.
Things on the table, though, because we don't have that much time left. Ray in Brooklyn, what's going on, Ray? Good morning.
You hear that breakthrough?
Good morning, my guy. People, they got you. What's going on?
What's up, dude?
I gave you a nice
You hear that breakthrough?
the other day on Al's show. I shouted all you guys out. I told him I appreciate when you, Peter Kennedy, Al,
Oh,
guys
you and I were the
And I
friends.
got the attenuated down to 0.
Exactly. So yeah, I was like, when you.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about him. That breakthrough. Yeah, I don't like that breakthrough.
Better things to put your energy towards.
You hear that?
Are you convinced of that?
I mean, I could also
Yeah,
argue that
it makes this radio
mistakes made me part of who I am and helped me learn things, you know? So maybe it was important to go through those mistakes.
No, this is WOR.
In your book, A Witch's Guide to Creating and
Oh, yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Learn from that.
Yeah, the book is really geared towards helping people understand what a ritual is.
Plus, I don't like the controls. They're too fumbly and too, I'm not a fan of these controls. There's a lot of breakthrough, that's one thing that I just can't stand. Especially when you pay $250 3 years ago for this radio. I think it was, no, not even, close to 4 years ago now. Almost $250 for this radio. The breakthrough is just unacceptable. I tell people about it and they don't believe me. But the proof is in the pudding.
And what can make a ritual fun. And that's usually when you have more people. And more people means more angry.
Of course. We rely on our national neighbor, or however you want to look at it. But it doesn't work that way. And so to the extent that you can divorce yourself.
No, see, now this one, you're a coast to coast there, right? You just heard it. So the next station is WR that's breaking through. It's coming through here now. So as I go up, especially the lower part, I know this autofocus is nuts right now. Let me just focus away. The reason why it's focusing a lot because of the SDR. It's moving up and down the pattern. And this phone is just, I'm using my phone, of course. I'm in the mobile streaming. Again, it's just breakthrough. And I tried every single setting. So right now I'm WABC, but I could hit WOR. And that is unacceptable.
And take on the entire international global order.
Yeah, and I mean that's obviously the type of thing.
I'm in Helsinki, where Europe's biggest campus for startup companies is being
This
held.
is WNYC,
I'll be looking into the role it could play as Finland's
NPR station, BBC World Service that night.
businesses. And I'll dig into some of the challenges that
And again, you can hear breakthrough.
compete for the best talent. Join me here after the latest world news. BBC News with Justine Green. US government says it's freezing more than $2 billion in funding to Harvard because the university is resisting White House demands. The announcement comes.
All right.
Joey Ohtani homering as the Dodgers beat the Rockies on Monday. Jimmy Butler expected to go in the play-in tournament for the Warriors, which tips on Tuesday. Speaking of going, it's UConn once again going at the top of the WNBA draft.
With the first pick in the 2025 WNBA draft, the Dallas Wings select Paige Beckers.
Dallas, I'm so excited. A new start, a fresh start, and so I'm excited. Let's get it.
Paige Beckers.
All right.
And work towards a more sustainable future for all of creation. The Prophet Muhammad also showed an acute awareness of how human actions impact the broader environment and the delicate balance.
Good morning, M0FXB.
No matter how small, has consequences that ripple through creation. This principle is emphasis on planting trees and preserving vegetation.
Yeah, you have to. I know. I'm not a fan of the Malahite, the original one. I'm pointing it out, the stuff I don't like about the Malahite. It's just a lot of. This radio for $250 is a disappointment. When I bought this radio, about 4 years ago. Yeah, I'm very disappointed. There's a lot of breakthrough. He's not as sensitive as for a radio $250. You would think it would be as sensitive as something like this. And this radio is $60+. And this radio blows away that radio. Not even close. So I know the new one is supposed to be better, but I'm not a fan of these radios. These are more like for enthusiasts and whatnot. It's definitely a lot of breakthrough.
To explain divine guidance, likening them to lamps illuminating the heavens and guiding.
Oh, you have the version 5 as well. Oh, cool. Yeah, I know this is the original one. This is the first ones. I know they've done several improvements on them since then. But the price is way out of my price range for the. I mean, they look nice, especially the but out of my price range at the moment. Okay. The V5 was an okay price. Oh, cool. Yeah. You can hear the breakthrough. It's ridiculous.
Take note of who you have listed here on the call screen softwares. Sister Mary Grace, is that right? Does that imply what I think it implies? I believe so, but I should have asked. That's my fault. Sorry. Sister Mary Grace, I think so, though. In Brooklyn, Ohio, it's Sister Mary Grace. Does that imply what I think it implies? Sister, good morning.
Hi, Bill. It's Sister.
Yeah, so for medium wave.
Did you really?
Made blurred as he tries to limit.
See, that's another thing about this one. See, when I get to about 1,000 kilohertz, the breakthrough is not as persistent. See, this sounds better.
President Trump's efforts to stop the fighting between Russia and Ukraine is taking a lot longer than previously thought. 2 ballistic missiles killed at least 30 people.
I mean, still can hear a little bit.
Sunday.
President Trump is once again placing blame on Ukraine for starting the war with Russia.
When you start a war, you got to know that you can win the war. Right? You don't start a war against somebody that's 20 times your size. and then hope that people give you some missiles.
And when asked about his comments that Russia's deadly missile strike on Sunday was a mistake, he said,
The mistake was letting the war happen.
He said 3 people are responsible: Biden, Zelensky, and Putin.
Stacey Lynn reporting the strike came just 2 days after a U.S. special envoy met with Russian President Putin in St. Petersburg to discuss a potential ceasefire.
Let me see. No 1020. Let me try 1030. 1030. Nothing there. I'm not even gonna try 1040. 1050, of course, is a blowtorch.
If those guys can get it going, they'll have a chance. But I fully expect Golden State to get this done.
We get some breakthrough.
Golden State to get it done. Let's say they do. What about matching up with Houston?
Golden State is the one team that I would say if they can get past this one, they can match up well with Houston. I just think the championship pedigree, you have Steve Kerr, a great coach. You have Steph, who's been there before. You got Draymond back against the wall. You got playoff Jimmy. So I just think they have.
Yes, just breakthrough. It's just really wow. And believe me, I fiddle around with this. Oh, you gotta change this setting. You gotta change this setting. Like, no, it's just that it's susceptible to. You see all that? It's just birdies, harmonics, you name it. This thing has, it's not. People don't want to believe me when I bash this radio. Believe me, I don't want to bash a radio that I spent $250 if I didn't mean it. And I'm telling you, this radio is a disappointment. I'm using MLA30. This is a very good antenna. And you saw last night when I was tuning with this radio. I was tuning with this radio this morning, yesterday. Going through the medium wave band and all that. This radio is disappointing. I would love to get my hands on a newer model, but I'm not going to pay top dollar. Not after this one disappointed me, I would not pay. No way. And if Malahite wants to send me one, or whoever, I'll give it a fair review. But right now, I am done with these Malahites. For the price, performance-wise, for the price, there's a lot more options out there. Before I will ever buy another Malahite. People thought I was joking. I said, no, I'm telling you.
Probably like the last 2 weeks of February, and I'm not seeing a lot of.
First of all, I live near New York City.
Survey data,
we have a whole bunch of
actually saying when they're going out to conferences, when they're on earnings calls,
powerful AM/FM stations.
Right now.
President Trump and his
The band is crowded.
in kind of slowing down, if not stopping illegal immigration. Are we seeing that in the housing market, in the
I have $30 radios that can handle the breakthrough better than this radio.
I did read a couple of the home builders that reported early, and they specifically said they weren't seeing any kind of derivative negative pressures on labor because of immigration.
David Sassauer is north of New York City. You should see he's got like 8,000 square feet.
Oh, good for him.
The Christmas tree is almost as big as Scarlet Foos. Damien said it's just booming. He said there's absolutely no let-up.
And look, I will say, if we're thinking short-term, long-term, if you go back to 2018, companies didn't really raise the alarm bell on tariffs until like September in that conference season before the earnings reporting season, kind of post-Labor Day. So it may take some time.
Like I said, this usually only picks up the major broadcast medium wave. It's not a DXer at all. Not a DXer. If you look into DX, this is not the radio. Yeah, that's usually a strong state. That's a strong station on all my radios. Look at it here. Awful. I wasn't joking, people. People say, oh, you don't give Malahite a chance. I'm giving it a chance right now. I'm giving it a chance. Good morning, James Farley. Hello. I'm giving it a chance. I'm going to go to 1280. There's nothing. This thing is... Yeah. It's just not a very good radio. I'm telling you. You're going to say, well, you didn't put this setting. I fiddle around with so many settings on this thing. The only thing I give this radio a high mark is the noise reduction. And that's it. That's it. That's the only thing I give it. And the sound. And the sound. And the sound. That's it. And the sound. That's the only thing I give this radio a thumbs up. It suffers from a lot of breakthrough. You get harmonics, all types of harmonics. Every other station is a harmonic. Hello, Glenn Dansler. Good morning. Look at this. You hear this. Look at this. You hear that? You hear that? I'm medium wave. You hear this? That's breakthrough. Harmonics. You can tell. Look at the patterns. They're all the same. So it's like I wasn't joking with you guys. You guys think I was joking about this radio. This radio is junk. It's not a very good radio. Not for $250 that I spent on this radio 4 years ago.
是的，就是也不算是无忧无虑吧，就是你还是需要一些基本的体能锻炼的。然后当你真的不行的时候，他会像拖着狗一样把你给拖上来，是真的这个样子的。对，是因为我小姨就是特别搞笑哈，他们小姨和我妈他们这两天去云南玩嘛。他们在之前，我妈说你小姨原来还没有那么严重的高原反应，真的就很严重，就跟说你小姨吃了一路氧气，就是被人连拖带拽给上去了。对，真的是这个样子哈。当你到这种有人是真的高原缺氧很严重的，对，上去之后高反太严重的话，真的是完全没有办法自主行动。我看过一个最搞笑的帖子哈，但是他们是去好像是在西藏还是在云南，我忘记了。他们买了个小氧气筒，都是要给钱的嘛。45 years marking more than 40 medicines over that time period, and we celebrate that in story form, in audio format. It's a great way for people to learn more about what we offer and to be educated in an easy and convenient way.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia can get more people to hear your message than anyone else. We can also get a better response rate for all your marketing. For better results for every budget, visit iHeart.
James. Don't try to help me on this one. This radio's a piece of shit. Please. Sorry. I fiddle around with every fucking setting on this thing. This radio's a piece of shit. Like I said, this shit suffers from breakthrough, fucking harmonics. Oh my God, you name it. This shit for $250. This radio was $60. And it kicks this radio's ass up and down on any band. So please stop trying to say, oh, could you try this, try that? Bro, I tried everything on this piece of shit. Okay? It's a piece of shit. Don't get me started at this time in the morning. Oh my God. That's why I'm just showing you guys this radio, because I don't want to hear about this radio no more today. This is the first time and the last time you're going to see this radio on a live stream. All you defenders of this radio.
Be sure to join me for an hour of journalistic excellence at 1 p.m. Central Time on Relevant Radio and on the Relevant Radio app.
You know that breakthrough, hear all this. I'm going to put this debate to rest.
That never raises planned prices with nationwide coverage and no contracts. Customers can mention my name through to sign up. Info CharityMobile.com. CharityMobile.com.
And I'm not singling you out. Just saying that I know somebody's gonna come in, somebody's gonna comment or something. Yeah. Somebody's gonna just look at the spectrum. Can you tell a pattern? You know? Because somebody's always gonna come in here and say, Did you mess with the automatic gain control? Did you put it on? Did you put it on slow? Did you lower down the attenuator? Did you put the like this? Bro, I fucked around with this radio for months when I bought it, and the result was the same. This radio is unusable on medium wave. On shortwave, it's just as bad. And when I hear people talk about this radio like it's the fucking greatest thing to slice bread, I don't know what to say. I'm like, okay, maybe I got a bad unit. I don't know what the hell it is. You know, my contention about this radio is that at $250, I shouldn't have to fiddle around with every fucking thing on this radio just to hear medium wave. You understand? You shouldn't have to fiddle around with every fucking little setting just to hear broadcast medium wave band. I mean, seriously. It's too early for this shit. Compared to this radio. It works right out the box. You see what I'm saying? This shit works right out the box. For $250, this shit should work right out the box. That's my criteria for any radio that I buy. If it's too much fiddling around just to listen to a broadcast band, then this radio is, forget it, it's unusable. Because now you have to fiddle around with every fucking setting just to hear the broadcast band. You hear what I'm saying? That's why I want to put this shit to rest. Because people, you know, I mean, you notice it. It's just fucking birdies and whatnot on this shit. Nothing. Yeah, this is fucking awful. Jesus Christ. Sorry, hit the wrong button. It's another thing. This shit is so fucking finicky. Jesus Christ. Let's just fucking listen to the broadcast band. What the fuck?
And embrace the adventure, all while supporting local nonprofit organizations.
Okay, what the fuck is going on with this thing? Volume, fucker. Oh my god.
Force, be with you.
It's Washington's news, traffic, and weather station, WPOC.
Wow. Oh, I got a DX. Woo, look at that. I got a DX.
Early Monday, we touched here at WTOP. Journalists
Piece of shit. What a piece of shit. Molly shit.
A star-studded all-female
This radio will kick that radio's ass.
6 women, including pop star Katy Perry and journalist Gail King, launched
All right.
in Texas. On board billionaire Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin New Shepard rocket.
I did a stream with that radio, with the Malahite 30, and it kicks this radio's ass. And that $20 radio. You never heard of that? You ever heard of that phrase about the pig? You put lipstick on a pig? This is this radio. Because it has an SDR screen. Woo! Look, it has a waterfall. Woo! Woo! Because it has a waterfall and it has a speaker. You know, it has a speaker. Woo! But it performs like shit. You know, what good is all this if the radio cannot perform above average? You know? Now, I want somebody to come here and defend this radio. This version right here. Come on, bro. Here's another one. 1520 coming up. Let's see if we can pick this one up.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to touch on the Colorado stuff. I think.
Oh, pick the Buffalo.
What Mr. Prime is doing is he's trying to set a precedent by saying,
Whoopee, he can pick a Buffalo.
If you prove yourself, we will retire your number in our rasters. And it's a recruiting tactic. I think, obviously, some of it with his son and Travis, but I think it's to keep Colorado moving and bring recruits in and prove themselves. And you know, you could be a staple of the Buffalo's offense or the Buffalo defense, for that matter.
Yeah, and Josh, I mean, I get it, right? But I get it. It is a decent recruiting tool, but you know, then again.
There you go. So can this radio pick a Buffalo? So can this radio. You hear that?
If that's the precedent you're setting, you know, I mean, they're going to run out.
So can this radio. $30 radio. See my point? I'm giving this radio every chance to bash yourself. You hear that? It's fucking Buffalo.
That get players that want to come to your program, not like, hey, I have one good season, I'm getting my number retired.
It's fucking Buffalo.
When we come back,
It's not fucking Iowa. It's fucking Buffalo. You should have sounded like this fucking shit. Give me a break. Forget about Iowa. 1550. Nothing. 1560. By the way, that's local. probably a birdie. Nothing. That's by the way, that's a local.
Insult to all Americans, to our history, and weakens and undermines who we are.
Housing and healthcare were also among the topics of discussion.
Not so local. And I hear breakthrough.
For delivering the longest speech in its history at 25 hours.
We move on to Texas.
There you go. You want to hear 1610? Here we go. Right here. It was loud. This radio, 1610. There you go. Low power station in Canada. With the ferrite. This one, nothing. Can't do shit. Come on, bro. I don't bash radios for you know. I bash it when they deserve to be bashed. Nothing. Nothing here. 1650. That radio picked up an hour ago. The one, the D608. Another Canadian station. This one, nothing. That's a local station. Nothing. There you go. I'm showing you guys. I don't want to hear no more shit after today about this radio. All right? We're done. We're done with this, right? There you go. Another local station can't even pick it up. Don't want to hear it. And that's it. 1690, Lexington, Maryland. Where is it at? Barely. Here we go. There you go. $30 radio coming up. There you go. There you go. You hear that? $30 radio. I don't want to hear no more shit about this radio. Fucking done with this shit. $1,700 WRCR. Nothing. That radio picked it up. There you go. Boom. Okay. People, I know what I'm talking about when I say that this radio is a piece of shit. All right? Don't question my shit when I tell you that this is a piece of shit. You don't got to believe me, but the proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding.
The major injury to James Bridget Harrison.
Now, Shortwave. And that's where it might shine. Here we go. There you go, Radio New Zealand.
As well as suspension. So that is starting to really test the depth of some injuries, really unsettling.
There you go.
That's a big step this coming weekend.
Orange News at 9 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Karen McCarthy. Fiji's Met Service's upgrade and tropical load has been sitting over Vanuatu for the last day or so. It is heading towards
loud and clear.
Cyclone Tam is a Category 1 system moving south-southeast away from Kana Island. Met Service forecaster Louis Fernandez says it's likely to lose tropical cyclone status tomorrow before reaching the North Island.
By the end of tomorrow, it will be located not too far to the northwest of of New Zealand, at least from the North Island. And this is the system that is going to be bringing lots of wet and windy weather.
And there you go. Wow, first time I got it with this radio. It must be a real good signal today for me getting this radio. Maybe I should try it with my SH data with the whip. Well, maybe let's see. Let's see. Oh, that's funny. I'm gonna have to go up. I'm gonna hold it right here. Let's see. I'm scanning it right now. Just with the whip. D608. Probably not gonna get it because it's freaking noisy here. And the whip antenna on the D608 is small. It's not that long of an antenna. And I'm gonna say that's the MLA30 more than the radio itself. Why did I do that? Oh my God, what a dumbass. Yeah, see? You're getting it too, so that's pretty strong then. It's not that it's blowing it away. Believe me. Oh, cool. All right, this video is another pain in the ass to hey, tried it. Anyway, congratulations. Congratulations, Nick. You have a new call sign. You passed your intermediate exam. Pretty cool. Congratulations, my friend. No, and I said it. I said that this radio, the noise reduction on this radio, I would like to see this noise reduction on all the other radios, because this is the best noise reduction that I seen. You know, right now it's doing good on this one. It's picking it up, so maybe it's not a complete loss. But on medium wave, forget about this radio. This radio on medium wave. So I'm going to turn it off. And I'm going to put the, you want to see? You want to put it to the test? Here we go. I'm going to put it to the test. Here you go. RNZ Pacific. Here we go. Let's see if it's conditions. Go to bands. We're going to there's a shortwave. There you go. There you go. There you go. Radio New Zealand. He's picking it up. Bammo. Let me see if I get the volume. I think that's max volume. Look at that. Everybody's picking it up. All right. Version 1.08. Now I'm going to hook it up with this one. Hook it up with the this guy. Here we go. This guy. Here we go. Let's see. There you go. Bammo.
Even your geese brothers, simple basic thing trying to take actually, but I may get the step myself. So if one attempts to play your choice, this is it does well last me for well, not really, you know what I mean. Donna was receiving pictures. Well, of course a teenager can cycle 15 kilometers to and from school. It's only about half an hour each way. You wouldn't want to be doing that in the rain though, would you? Speaking of rain, we do have some nasty weather heading our way. And news bulletin is particularly for those in North Range. Some orange weather warnings issued by the Met Service, heavy wind and rain coming tomorrow and Thursday. We will of course be keeping you.
Nick Handsome, SDR is great on shortwave, but sucks on medium wave. Yeah, well, I think that's the case with that Malahite. I need to work on my general too, or my intermediate. That's the equivalent of the intermediate here in USA. Because I know in England. So that means because over here, the problem is over here, the beginner one is the technician one. I don't have that many HF privileges. Only CW. But you guys in England, you guys have even even at HF, you guys still have a whole bunch of HF, but it's just power. I know you're limited by power. So now that you have the intermediate, now you can you know, it's obviously it's more power, right? And probably a couple of more other bands or something. And I didn't know that. I mean, they should do that here. Let me have access to the HF bands, except, you know, reduce power. So that's why I have to get the general. Now, once I get the general, then I'm okay. In terms of voice and data. Because even with power, you know, I can still do like 100, 200 watts and stuff like that, depending on the excuse me, my throat is dry. But I know in England, Married DX, when he got his license, you know, he was on 20 and all this. I can't do those bands. Well, he can. You know, he's limited to 25 watts, but it's better than nothing. At least he has access to all those bands. I don't. For me to get that, I have to go to the next step. And I think that's silly. I think we should be able to have that too. You know? The other thing is that I know that in the UK, you guys are limited by power. And the foundation one. And he just went up. When he got his license, I think he was limited to 10. and then they increased it to 25, I believe, a few months back, which is better. And that's a big difference from 10 to 25. That's a big difference, you know, especially FTA and even, you know, he does single sideband all over Europe and whatnot. He makes a lot of contacts. So over here, they should have that. They should just expand the HF bands for the technician, but at a reduced power. I'm okay with that, you know. So we don't, anyway, but now they're talking about all this other stuff. We don't know what's gonna happen here now. And they've been proposing that for a while. That's for a few years already. They want to expand the technician to do, you know, more HF bands. You know, even if it's a small portion. But you know what? I'll eventually I'll get it. When I get it, yeah. Because that in England, that's what they have. That's what they have in England. Married DX is a foundation. He's an entry. That's the, you know, there's 3 levels, right? In England, there's 3 levels. Like over here, it's 3 levels. It's the technician, the general, and the extra. So, yeah. So see, you have 100 watts now. You have 100 watts now. You know, and me as a technician, I have 100 watts, more than 100 watts. On some bands, I have, I think it's 200. Some of them I have up to, you know, well, no, but of course, VHF, UHF is 50. That's the cap, 50 no matter what. But the only problem is we don't, you know, on HF, unless I'm doing CW, is only 10 meters for voice and digital. And that's it for HF. And 6 meters. And then everything else. So they need to like expand the HF in terms, even if it's now of course once I get my general, you know, pretty much I have it, I'll be on every band in general. So I mean I'm gonna go that route anyway, because you know, waiting for some, you know, because I'm at the point now where I'm only on 10 meters and I pretty much I'm over 150, what is it now? 158 countries. QRZ. I'm 138 confirmed, I believe, something like that, 137 or 130. If I were to get my general, I would hit 200 countries within the next year, because I'm that close. It's just some of the bands, you know. I did a lot of it. Well, some on. You know, I don't mean, well, you don't really count that, but 10 meters. All of it was on 10 meters. Because I do some, you know, DMR, digital voice stuff. But yeah, if I want to work 20 and all that, and that's another thing, you know, I would like to learn CW, but that's going to be a long learning curve doing that. So I'm just better off just gonna have to get the general, just study it for a few weeks, and just take the freaking test already and just pass it and get it over with. And right now I can't do 20. I just can't do 20. I can't do 20. I can't do, you know, that's the most popular band. It's 20. You know? And the problem with 10 is a daytime band. 10 meters is just daytime. And it's not even a daytime band. It's also seasonal. Like right now in the springtime, it's less and less people on 10. Because right now I'm 2 years into my license, my technician, and I see a pattern that usually after it starts dropping off in April. It starts dropping off in April, and then It won't pick up again till late summer. So I usually take my break anyway, and I usually just, like last year, when 10 meters wasn't that many people on 10 meters, I learned DMR. I started doing some, VHF, UHF, and I started doing DMR and Yaesu, C4FM, but that's just digital voice. That's like, it's like connected to a repeater and then you talk around the world, but that's not, HF. That's just, I mean, even though it's fun, but it's not HF. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and just take this freaking test and pass it and upgrade my license already. Yeah. But that's cool, bro. Congrats, Congrats, man. Enjoy, And by the way, 100 watts is a big difference. When I got my Zygu, which is 20 watts max, when I was doing contacts, FT8 contacts on that, I was making quite a bit. I was making a lot of contacts, but not Australia. Like that was one of the few spots that I couldn't not quite get the contact because the Zygu, Now once I bought my Yaesu FT9918, that's 100 watts. And then my signal got heard further out, and I started making contacts. So I started getting all these, Australia, New Zealand. I got Vietnam. I was like, wow. Japan like nothing. Boom, 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 boom. Every day I get Japan. Things like that. China, Korea. South Korea, Thailand, Indonesia. That's when I was supposed to get heard. Before I had the 100 watt transceiver, 20 watts. No Argentina, no not now. Argentina all the way down. I got heard in Antarctica. I got heard all the way up to the Arctic Circle. Boom, boom. Now 100 watts is a big difference between 20 watts and 100 watts. Yeah. So 100 watts, you're gonna 100 watts is where you're gonna make a lot more contacts with 100. That's for sure. You're gonna get heard. Single sideband. When I was doing 20 watt single sideband, it was harder to be heard. But as soon as I got my 100 watt transceiver, bam-o. Nope, I got heard. I was like, bam, bam. Plug it in. I'm over here in Yonkers, New York. Boom, Russia. Right away. Boom. Like that. 5'9". Yeah, I got 5'9", buddy. And I'm using an end fed. 80 feet of wire. And 64 to 1 onion. And I was like, bam, I got heard. Good, good signal, good audio, single sideband. There's a big difference. Yeah. You're gonna get that 891. Okay. I got the 991A. The reason why I got that radio is because I wanted the UHF, the VHF UHF. And I wanted that. But 891 is a good one. Very good one, yeah. And then maybe later on, I'll get a 7300. That'll be my next. I'll save that for when I get the General. I'll probably save up for that one when I get the General. I'll get the 7300. Because I want to have a beautiful waterfall. The problem with the 991A, the waterfall is kind of choppy. It doesn't look. It's not. The 7300 has a beautiful screen. That screen is butter. Nice smooth waterfall and all that. Yeah. 8912 Porter with that, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I have a FT818. I have a FT818ND. If I ever want to do Porter, I use that. And that's also QRP. So, 5 watts, 6 watts max, I think. That's it. I don't plan to take my FT, and if I want to do Porter, I'll take the G90. I'll take the G90. I'll take the G90 if I want to do Porter. If I do one. But right now I'm not looking into doing that around here in Yonkers. I don't have that much time. Maybe in a couple of more years, maybe, right now, no, I need to get the General, though. I definitely need to get that. Yeah, G90 end fed half wave, perfect. Yeah, that's what I have. I have an end fed.
The video is just people going very badly wrong. So you watch it every damn year. It works.
Just looking point, it's just gone too far, isn't it? Well, Megan, it's hard to get such better but
That's my thinking about this radio now. I think it's more the signal that I was able to pick up that station. But yeah, I'm gonna say that this radio maybe on shortwave is okay, but on medium wave, no good. No good. And that's why I bought this radio originally. I bought it because of medium wave. But it just suffers for too much breakthrough, too much spurious signals, all this stuff, harmonics, you name it. I mean, it's a novel idea that they did this. It's a novel idea. And I know they have the new versions out now, but I would not spend. I know the one that which is the version. I don't know which one it is. There's one that is like $490 or something. I wouldn't spend that much on a receiver like that. You know what I could get for $490 with a receiver like this? I'd rather get an old tabletop. Yeah, but still, I don't. And I don't know if it doesn't have a converter. It doesn't matter. If at $250, I expect better performance on it. I'm sorry, for $250, I could have bought myself the Texan 990, the PL 990 at that price. I could have bought the Sangean ATS, what is it? If I shopped around an Encore, I could have got the Sangean. At that price, I probably could have bought the Texan S2200X. Right? At that price, I could have bought, but of course, that radio was not out back then. If I go to an Encore, for that $250, I probably could have got the Texan S2200X. The reason why people bought this radio because of the SDR and the waterfall. But if you look at it, when I looked at that radio, I figured I had to be an RTL SDR in there. Maybe like what you said with no up converter. So maybe they have that shit set up with the Q, which is not the best. Maybe. So, and that's my contention about that radio. And you gotta remember that you gotta compare it to radios around the same price range. So when we're talking about $250, what you can buy for $250 now? You can get a pretty good radio for $250 if you know what if you know where to shop around and you know what radio. Even a Shangyong LC90, I don't know how well that radio is on the medium wave DXing. I'm sure I would have bought that radio for that price and probably would have had a lot more fun with that radio than this radio. You see what I'm saying? That's another thing you have to look into. You shouldn't have to fiddle around with every setting every time you're switching bands. If you have to fiddle around with every setting every time you switch bands, that radio is going to be annoying after a while. Especially when you have a lot of radios like me, and I could pop this radio in, and I don't have to fiddle around with much. Because at the end of the day, you want to enjoy your radio. You can't enjoy your radio if you have to fiddle around with it every freaking time you're switching bands. I'm sorry, that's too much. And I'm talking about receiving. I'm not talking about transceivers. I'm talking about receiving. When you have to fiddle around with all these settings because you want it, especially in 2025, I'm sorry. You shouldn't get to that point. And that's the problem with this radio. You have to fiddle around with every little setting on it. You have to basically you have to have the noise reduction on at all times. It's there, but you have to basically, why not just have it built in? When you start up the radio, have the noise reduction on. Because basically you got to have it on anyway. Why? Because it's susceptible to noise. Like the D109. Remember the original D109? That thing you couldn't put it near anything. It would overload. Even when you take it outside and you put a little piece of wire on it, it would overload. And then they did a second update of the D109, and that one they put a little attenuator switch on it, and that helped a little. That helped a little bit, but it still overloads. And you see now, I don't use that radio. I reviewed it, and that was it. I don't use that radio. I have three of them over there. I have the weather band one, and I have the other two D109s. One that the tuning knob broke, and the other one. And they're just in a shelf. I use this radio a lot more than those radios. This radio was built better. This radio is actually built better than the D109. And that's what I'm saying. So when I say that the Malahite is not a good radio, it is not a good radio because of the price. Have I bought this radio at $50? Have I bought this radio at $50 when it came out? I would have said, okay, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. Right? But now that's $250 total. I'm sorry. This needs to perform better. And of course, have they done improvements since then? Yeah. This is the early version. This is the version 1. You know, they have version 5 and all that now. I'm sure they improved a lot of things on it. But don't expect me to buy that radio now, especially at the price range that it's at now. No, I wouldn't buy it. I would not buy it. Because at that price range, when we're talking about $400, $500 total, whatever it is, at that price range, there's a whole bunch of other radios I'd rather buy first. You know, I don't need an SDR. I have an RSPDX. I have an HF Plus Discovery, and those SDRs are very good. This one's not going to replace that. It was not going to replace that. Okay? Even my original RSP1 is a way better SDR than this one. By a mile. Not even close. So yeah, so I looks like the chat staying up. Oh, okay. It's not fading away now, the chat. Oh, that's the secret about it. I have to put a dot on it. Because I'm doing it on the phone, so the chat disappears. It's on this side of the screen. It kind of overlays the video, but it fades away. So that's why I saw the white dot. And now the chat's staying on the screen. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's why you like the PL880, $160. Yeah, and that's a good radio. That's a very good radio. And I came very close to buying that radio. Of course, I bought the 660 at the time because that was more in my price range. You know, but you know, how I would have bought the 880 would have been pretty good. I would have liked that radio. A lot of people like that radio. I think there was only a couple of knock on it or something. I know Theo had one and they went dead on him. But he had it for a few years though. But a lot of people, you know, I know the sound, it has a great sound. But I bought the 660 at the time. And I like the 660. I still like it. And then I bought the SDR D808. And that's the one I use more now. But if my 808 were to just go kaput one day, the 660 would just fill in the slot. Because I liked the 660. It worked pretty good. So, yeah, this is not gonna. Let me go back the other way. Actually, let it just go over. It's gonna go to 27, then it'll flip over. And this video only goes to. That's one thing about the frequency range on this. 27 megahertz. That's the tippy top. So this is not a full blown shortwave band. It stops at 27. So right there, right below the CB band. Yeah, I know, Nick Hansen. Having a family really cuts into your free time. I'm old and divorced, and my boys are in their 20s, so I have all the time. Yeah, well, my two daughters are in their 30s. However, I got married 12 years ago. Actually, 13 years ago now, and. Of course, we have a 10-year-old son. So, Yeah, people told me I was crazy. Oh, you're gonna have another child after you? I said, yep. I said, well, that's what happened. Yeah, my wife is 12 years. I'm 12 years her senior. So of course she wanted to have a family, and I thought I was done with that part. And what I mean by that is I thought I was done raising. And the truth is, you're never done. I don't have any grandkids yet, not that I know of, because the other two I haven't heard from them in a while. But I don't have any grandkids for what I know of so far. I'm okay with that too. So, but I'm talking about other time. Not only, of course, I have other time I do. I have other hobbies that I do also. Not only radio, but I do other hobbies I enjoy. Right now, weather's getting nicer. Yesterday, finally, we had a nice day yesterday. Today is okay. Today we're gonna go shop. And then I guess we're not going to do anything this week because the weather's not going to cooperate. Finally, the weather's going to get warm on Saturday. But she goes back to work on Saturday. We're supposed to have 80 degrees on Saturday. We're going to hit 80 degrees Fahrenheit here on Saturday. And then, of course, Easter Sunday. So I don't know what's going to happen on Easter Sunday. But she's working. She works on Easter Sunday. She works this weekend coming up. So, we were going to take them Times Square this. Okay. There you go. WRCR. And then I'm going to work my way up. There we go. So, yeah. So I'll catch up on a few things here. A few projects. I have a lot of projects to do in this house. So, and plus the Yonkers is different. I noticed that when I lived in New York City, well, with the exception of the crime, New York City is one of the most accessible cities. There you go, CHU Canada. Let me lower that down. It is one of the most accessible cities in the world. Meaning that you don't need to have a car. You can get around walking, taking the buses, mass transit. If you want to ride a bicycle, you want to, scooter, you could rent a bicycle or scooter. If you don't even if you don't own a bike, you could just rent one. It's very accessible. And that's the one thing I miss about New York City. When I lived in New York City, I used to walk a lot. I like walking. I used to walking, when I moved to Yonkers is a lot slower. Nothing is open 24/7. Everything has a curfew. A lot of stores are closed by 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. A lot of stores are closed by 8 o'clock. Then a couple of stores stay open till midnight, and that's it. That's the latest they can stay open here. Any store, grocery store or otherwise, with the exception of a 7-Eleven. There's one 7-Eleven that's 24/7, but that's all the way on the other side of Yonkers. That's like about 4 miles away from where I'm at least 4 miles, maybe 5 miles. But it's not as accessible, and plus Yonkers is a lot of hills. There's a lot of hills. So walking is not like walking, when you're walking like in New York City, there's a lot to see. You always see something, you'll go into a store, you're like a little old thrift store. You might do some window shopping. There's always something. It's one of those cities that you can walk around all day and you're going to see a lot. And you're not even going to feel it. You're going to say, man, I walked a lot of miles, and you stay in shape. But the minute I moved up here and I settled down, then the pounds started coming on to me. I started getting the beer belly and all that. And of course, baby boy, you got to stay home with the baby boy and all that too. It's different. More sedentary lifestyle, and that's what happened. So yeah, exactly. So that's why when I say POTA, I say, maybe in the future. But right now, I'm not even thinking about POTA and stuff like that. I just don't have the time for all that. But I would like to be getting up and going around here. But right now, it's not there. Maybe in another couple of more years. Because I also do rail fanning. I like taking the transportation, like the subway cars and the commuter trains and all that. I like to make videos on all that. I have a rail fan channel that I just started a few years ago. When I travel, I like to, I'm a train nut. I'm an aviation nut. I got a model train channel. I just started posting a couple of videos on. I have to do a layout. I want to build a layout. I have like a couple of containers of old HO scale trains and all that. I have a couple of Bachman sets. So, we have all these hobbies, I'm going to get into. And the thing is, like, father time is like, doesn't stop. I was just talking about that with my wife today, My son is, he's a very introverted kid. He doesn't want like before his 10th birthday, we're like, you want to party? And he said, no, I don't want no birthday party. He doesn't care for all that stuff. It reminds me of myself, most kids after they hit around 10 years old, they don't care about having parties. Birthday party. That's like, and then of course when you get to my age or you're whatever, we get older, we don't want to celebrate every freaking birthday. I kind of be like, oh, okay, well, I lived another year, thank God. That's what I think about. Thank you for giving me another year. I just thank God for that. And then, I don't need to celebrate it. And we're talking about that because there's some people that they need to celebrate, especially, I don't want to sound chauvinist. A lot of women tend to do that. They need to celebrate every freaking year, at least before they turn 40. And then they start hitting that wall. And then, don't remind me. Mm. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we can pick up here. So I'll do a quick scan and then shortwave. But yeah, so I gotta put this thing to rest. I'm gonna try it a few more times on shortwave. I want to do some catches on it.
Down here in the shack this morning, I checked in with the.
But I'm gonna say, for all intents and purposes, medium wave with that radio, not a good experience.
That last night with the iPad, I haven't used that on the Flex really at all. So I was using that in the living room on the cocktail table. Got some real good reports with that, so that was a lot of fun. And I also talked to, you saw the video. That's when I was talking to Kevin on 17 meters. So we've been getting on a couple times a week on 17.
Yeah.
Quiet. No QRM.
Sound pretty good, this. I'm saying this radio is a very good radio. And I saw my Radio Dixon receive. He got the desktop version of this radio now. So I'm looking forward to it.
The remote display that you can plug in anywhere and get a display.
Yeah, so I'm trying to post videos like often as I can because I want the YouTube algorithm to reward me. I noticed that especially when I come on this late, people are like, wow, you hear this? I say, yeah, I'm trying out different things,
So seductive, huh? You should have heard him when I talked to him on the phone. And I rebuked him.
Father Stair, I send this to you as a friendly admonition. Because I actually think that you are trying not to sin. But when you oppose the legitimate church of Jesus, which...
You know, at this point, he's AI, right? You know that, right? If you hear anything with current events, because you know he's long gone. But I think they're just doing AI with Brother Stay at this point.
Teach wrong, otherwise the gates of hell would have prevailed and you won't know the truth. And therefore the church cannot teach wrong. It's guaranteed by the Holy Spirit who will lead us into all truth through the church. And when you're like Gamaliel warned the Jews opposing God, that, you know, it's not that way. So you might want to ponder that.
This thing is not scrolling all this time. I thought it was scrolling. Hold up. Oh my God, I missed all this. Jesus Christ, I missed all this down here. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Let me catch up on the live stream. Oh, this thing is not scrolling, the live stream. Oh my God. I'm in the chat. So let me start from here. My killers bandwidth. No, I don't want. Yeah, I could try that. Anyway, good morning, Chrissy. Yeah, it has great sound. It does have great sound. Anyway, yeah. I'm gonna I have to go for it. I need my general. I just can't. And yeah, Sanjay's off this week. He doesn't go back till the week the day after Easter Sunday. So next Monday. Well, today's Tuesday now, so Monday. He goes back to school on Monday. Yeah. RRT08. I ordered the DX286. The accessories pack was shipped out of Hong Kong. It just landed in New York. Radio's due on Thursday. Cool. Yeah, you're going to have fun with that radio, bro. You're going to love that radio. You're going to have so much fun with that radio. And it's a little learning curve to it, but it's so many things you can do with that radio. It's awesome. And it's great on every band. It's great on every band. You know, I just wish it had single sideband. That's the only thing I wish it had on it. Yeah, ride the rails. I love trains. Yeah, Chris saying, yeah, I love trains. Yeah, I know train. I never been there. It's in Brooklyn. I have not been there. Nick Hansen, I haven't been on a train in probably 10 years. Yeah, I wish I had the space for a model railway. Yeah, I'm gonna try to put something together. When I get to 60, I'm going to start counting backwards on my birthday. Yeah, well, I'm a year and a half away from that. I'm 58 and a half, basically, right now. Chrissy, there are some nice train rides that go across North American. Yeah. We're looking into doing that. You know, my wife and the three of us, my wife and my son. You want to take them to Mount Rushmore. The problem is the Amtrak does not go through, I believe, South Dakota. There's no Amtrak service there, so I will have to take like the train to I think you take the train to Iowa, and then from there you have to take the bus. There's a bus service that takes you to Mount Rushmore for that part. So that's the only state that Amtrak does not have a station or just rail service, just train tracks, is South Dakota. You know, so although we thought about driving there too. Maybe we go to my sister-in-law's house in Indiana and stay there a night or whatever, and then from there we'll go straight to South Dakota from Indiana. Just drive there. Other qualities, I would like to get a radio like that with a nice wooden case with all the knobs in the front. Well, he has a desktop version of this radio, and so far pretty good. Yeah, Chrissy, they have one in Brooklyn, and it's a really big store. I've never been there. One day, maybe I'll go there. So you're 58 as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, same age. And did I catch up? Yeah, I caught up. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and also that, that's I think the Zephyr, the one that goes all the way to California. Yeah, they have the viewing cars, and yeah, that's that one you got to connect from Chicago. That's the one that goes from Chicago to California. That one has the dome cars. They like the they got nice views. Because I never I've been on the Amtrak down to Florida, but never to the West Coast. So I know that if we, for example, I know for example South Dakota, excuse me, we will have to take the Amtrak to Chicago because that's a big hub, Chicago, and then Chicago it will probably be just to Iowa. I think it's Iowa. I think it's Cedar Rapids or something. And then from Cedar Rapids or Des Moines, there's a bus. It's like a Greyhound bus type deal. So, charter bus or whatever. That takes you all the way to, because there's no trains. There's no Amtrak stop, but there's no trains, even rails, that just go through South Dakota. It's like the only state in the whole union that doesn't have train tracks. Wyoming has train tracks, but there's no stop. I believe something like that. And North Dakota, I know North Dakota there was a stop, or I don't know what it is, but I know one state definitely has no train, no Amtrak train, nothing. You have to. So for that area, you have to take a bus. It's like an Amtrak bus. Actually, that's what it is. Amtrak supplies. It's an Amtrak bus service. Well, we looked into that. But if you want to go coast to coast, yeah, then, I think they call it the California Zephyr or something. I forgot what's the name of the one that goes coast to coast. And actually, it doesn't go coast to coast. If you're going from east to west, for example, New York, we go all the way to Chicago. Chicago is a major hub. Then you got to connect again to another train, and then that one takes you usually the rest of the way. From Chicago to, West Coast. Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's a nice store. I know. If I go there, I gotta have a wallet. I gotta have some cash. Because I'll probably go nuts. Actually, I really don't want to go there either. Because I'll just come out there broke. Yeah, I know. I've seen videos on it, though. Yeah, trains were very popular in the 30s and the 40s. Yeah. They were even popular up to probably even up to the 50s. And then what happened was, of course, after air travel became accessible for a lot of people, especially in the 60s. That's when the rail industry started going downhill. Like every train, like every region had their own. Like, for example, here in New York State, we had New York Central. Right, New York Central. And then I think sometime that's when, by the 60s, they were in trouble. There was no, every region had their own rail service, passenger rail service and all that. But because the air travel became so cheap, a lot of them started going under. They were, bankrupt and all that. So I believe it was in 1972 or 1970. It was 1972. Amtrak, the United States government formed Amtrak and bought out all those, basically all the passenger service was gobbled up by Amtrak. And then the freight service, a bunch of companies consolidated. And that's what we have today. Like, CSX is in the East Coast is CSX. Yeah, CSX, Norfolk Southern, right? And then, of course, in out west, you have the Union Pacific or BNSF. It's a lot of mergers. And that's just freight. Well, freight, cargo, whatever, freight. But the passenger service is all Amtrak. So they nationalize, it's basically a federal subsidized Amtrak. So so basically the United States government is subsidizing Amtrak. It's kind of a quasi federal, and they never made a profit. To this day, they still have not made a profit. Amtrak. They never made a profit. Yeah. Because have all those companies would have collapsed, really the economy would have really, and we needed more important than passenger service, it was the freight service. We need the freight service because that's what delivers materials all over the United States is the rail service. Not everything you can fly. Right? Not everything you can fly coast to coast. Some stuff is too big or too many of them. And you have to bring them by rail. Especially if they don't have to be here right away. So that's why the government saved the freight industry. It was like a bailout, basically. And so, yeah, the original train set were originally created for big store window displays. Yeah. I mean, I also have some Christmas trains, that were like from, the big old, what they call G scale. But those are, those are more like battery operated. They're not, they're like Christmas, the Christmas trains. We got a couple of sets. My son was a few years ago. My son was into trains, so we would buy a set for him. He would play with it, and then so now I have all the stuff put away. If I want to put it outside in the yard, maybe I'll hook up all the tracks and put it outside in the yard, let it run. All right, let me move on here.
A missile that they are saying sent a missile.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, Chrissy, you bought a little Z scale. Oh, my God. Z scale. Wow. Made Merkle train for my window Christmas. Wow. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Maybe getting into N scale. See, if I had N scale trains, I could have built a layout already because I have enough space for that. But I have HO scale, and it's kind of. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a setup in the garage. Rebelde. You hear it? Radio Rebelde, ¿eh? Es Cuba. All right.
An observation, but it shows the control right down to the last moment in Jesus' final stop.
Tonight, there's clouds this evening with a chance of flurries overnight and tomorrow morning. Tomorrow then will be sunny by the afternoon and a high up to 6 degrees. More sunshine Thursday with a high of 12. Right now it's mostly cloudy and 9. I'm Stuart McGinn. Our next update is 6:30 here on News Talk 1010. For these stories and more, go to ctvnewstoronto.ca. This is More in the Morning.
As for Corey, I've said right from day one, he's tough as nails, but he's the best campaign manager in the country. And to be very frank, if Corey's running that campaign, I don't think Mr. Poilievre would be in the position he's in right now. But it's still a lot of time left. We still have debates. At the end of the day, the people will decide which way we want this country to move forward. But sometimes the truth hurts.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Truth hurts me to something more exciting. That breaks my heart. Oh, that breaks my heart.
Oh, there is nothing like a conservative backstabbing fight. We'll talk about it on the show this morning because I still find myself wondering, what is the game here? I mean, it started with Corey tonight, and maybe he's just calling it as he sees it. And or maybe there's more at play.
That's what I was wondering. Who's that? Ecuador.
Park, and she joins Moore in the Morning at 7:35. Number 3, Doug Ford, showing no love for the federal conservative campaign. Number 4, Pierre Poilievre would use the
Yeah.
lock up multiple murders.
And this is CFRX out of Toronto.
Guerrero Jr. returns to the Rogers Center as the Blue Jays lose to the
Oh, boiler. Yeah, after this weekend, I'm gonna shut it off. Yeah, I'm definitely going to shut off the boiler room.
When the day was longest in summer and shortest
Here you go.
in winter. Again, our modern civil calendar, devised by the Jesuit scholar Christopher Clavius, at the request of Pope Gregory XIII, is a solar calendar.
The next kind of calendar used by a large portion of the world for their religious observances is a strictly lunar calendar. The Muslim calendar is a strictly lunar calendar, and that's why Ramadan kind of goes backwards through the year. One year it'll be in July, the next year in June, and so forth. So why don't you explain why that is? Well, the solar year, as any school kid will tell you, it's 365 days long. It's actually 365 days and some change, which is why we have to have a leap year every 4 years. The lunar year is a little over 10 days shorter than the solar year. So if you're calculating time just by the lunar year, the time it takes the moon to return to the same position in the sky as seen from Earth, you're going to find that your months are drifting backward through the seasons. This is what happens when you use the moon for calculating the years, because the lunar year is shorter than the solar year. And the other type of calendar is what's called the lunisolar calendar. This is where it gets interesting, and where ultimately you can prove that Saturday is not the biblical Sabbath, nor is Sunday the resurrection day. You see, the lunisolar calendar uses both the sun and the moon. The sun is used for calculating the years. This keeps the calendar properly anchored to the appropriate seasons. Otherwise, in the northern hemisphere, instead of having a hot July and a cold January, you have a cold July and a hot January. Until it changed again. Well, wouldn't that be awkward, just having the months shift through the seasons? Absolutely would be. The difference between lunisolar calendars and solar calendars is that lunisolar calendars, including the biblical calendar, use the moon for keeping tracks of months. And I'm really excited about this because it's an absolutely brilliant method of keeping time, really and incredibly accurate. In fact, a lot of primitive cultures refer to their months as moons. Furthermore, the word for month in English actually originally comes from the word moon, meaning a moon or one complete cycle of the moon. And it's this combination of the moon and the sun that Yahweh established at creation as his designated method of timekeeping at the very dawn of Earth's history. In fact, he established it right during creation week. So let's go back to the beginning. Literally, we turn to Genesis chapter 1 and read the fourth day of creation for us. And Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And what's significant here is verse 14. Elohim established the lights in the heaven and said, "Let them be for signs and for seasons." The word translated here as signs come from the Hebrew word oath. It literally means a signal, a beacon, and a monument. And this goes along with the idea that the Sabbath is a memorial of creation, but only if you actually use the created calendar to find when it occurs. True. The word translated seasons is even more telling. It comes from the Hebrew moed and literally means an appointment or something.
Day. There is salvation.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting programming to hear, you know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm picking up the Hawaii time signal. What's her name? Jane Barbery? Excuse me. Wrong one. Sorry. Wrong button. I was looking over. Instead of looking at the screen, I was looking over. All right. Oh my God, my stomach is just. Oh, I hear the plumbing. It's gonna skip it, I think. Watch again. Let me see if it stops it this time. Oh, okay.
We unify our sound and pitch accuracy is happening.
Radio New Zealand. Yeah.
Similar lines, as a matter of fact. Actual tones
I know they have how many transmitters they have?
You don't think about it, but that definitely is true. And I think the desire to produce a resonant sound unconsciously influences singing accents. Just me personally, I'm usually irritated that ordinary Kiwis often adopt an American accent when singing modern songs. It does happen with modern songs, doesn't it? Does it happen when you're singing O Sole Mio or I Vow to Be My Country?
I don't know, because right now, well, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, so right now everything's just getting started here. So, you know, it's kind of quiet right now in terms of electronics. People waking up now around here and all that. So maybe that helps out too.
There's orders from Victoria University and Financial Mentoring Service FinCamp.
All right, well, I'm going to sign off now. I've been on for 2 hours and 4 minutes. Wow. I wanted to demonstrate this radio and show you, but like I said, this radio is, I'll do some more playing around with it. I guess on shortwave. But it's not a fun radio compared to this one. See, this radio is a fun radio. You know, one thing about a radio like this is usability. This radio is fun. It's a fun radio. Anyway, so yeah, let me go. You guys have a good day. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.